Hello friends, welcome back to another 365 days of scrapbooking weather project. This is a collaboration with my very good friend Janice from Australia. It's interesting to see how our weathers are so different, but this month they're kind of the same. I think you'll agree. Let's get started. Okay, so for this layout, I wanted to start with the base page right here. And I auditioned a few colors and I brought in my photos, and we'll talk about these photos in a bit. And the color that I felt worked best for this particular layout is mink and on the dark side. But I also felt that it was kind of dark on the mink. So I want to do a quick little treatment. And I'm just going to bring in some acrylic paint. It's just white acrylic paint. And I'm just going to brush it against the background. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it just to dilute it a little bit. It's just going to run better. And I'm just going to run this brush across, and you can see that it's about a 1 inch wide. And I'm just going to run it right across the page to give this really cool streaking effect. It's going to give my base page a little bit of interest without kind of being the focus of the entire layout. So I'm just really quickly running this through. I'm not paying any attention to how I'm doing it, to be honest, and I'm just running this quickly across the page. And I think it just gives enough interest to make an otherwise solid background a little bit more interesting. I'm almost done here. So I think that that's good enough. I'm just going to take a little bit off. And then I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to let it dry. But I think that you'll agree that it definitely gives something to my base page. And it's going to create interest and not distract from everything else that's going on at the front. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to let it dry, and we'll start the assembly. All right, I am back, and my base pages are nice and dry. I did tack them down with just double-sided tape on my Versamat here, only to make the assembly a little easier on me. Because I did the water treatment with the acrylic paint, they do kind of warp a little bit, but once they get put into page protectors, they will be completely fine. So this month, we are documenting the days with a circle, or a half circle, I should say. So this half or circle measures 2 1/4, and you just die cut the ones that you need that represent the days and the colors, and then you just cut it in half. So I've gone ahead and I've done that here, and for this particular layout, they all go right here at the bottom of the page. And typically I will start from day 1 to 15 on one page, and then I'll go 16 to 30 or 31st on the second page. But because I want them to run across and I want them to be staggered, my second row is actually, there's an overlap. So I'm going to run them clearly across the 2 pages, and that's going to be very helpful for me. I have lots of photos to document this month. We had a horrible storm in Ottawa, and trees fell, trees that have been around in my neighborhood for years, huge trees fell down, and it was actually really sad and kind of scary. But after a storm, I don't know about you guys, but it's always really, really calm. And a good friend of mine, Lynn, took this photo and she posted it on her socials. And I asked her if I could document this in my 365 days of tracking, because it's just gorgeous, right? It is absolutely gorgeous. And this photo was taken right after the storm. And to me, it represented a little bit of hope, because we were all in the dark for a very long time, some of us anyways. I found the easiest way to do this was to take out my trusty T-ruler, and I know that my circle measures 1 1/8, So I'm just going to draw myself a faint line at like the 1 1/8-ish right here at the bottom and right here at the bottom. That's why I love working with these mats. You can just go ahead and measure everything, and it's so much easier. I just want to make sure that they're nice and straight. So I laid out the first two that go right at the bottom, and then you could measure up like 1 1/8, or what I did is I just added my half circle right here in the center, because this one here is actually across both pages. And I just lined up my T-ruler and I made a line on my base page. It's like just a smidge underneath, so that when I start lining them up, I'm going to cover that pencil mark. If I don't cover it, I'll just erase it. And then I did the same thing for the next one, because they are staggering, but this one here is in the center. So that's where you should start when you're attaching all of your circles. And I think that this is going to work out quite nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to speed up how I'm going to lay them all down here at the bottom of the page. So you end up with 15 half circles on this side and 15 on this side. And the one that's in the center ends up being day 31. So it actually works out quite nicely. And it doesn't overpower your page too much with all of the circles. So let's go ahead and let's lay all of these down. And you'll see how cute it is when it's all laid out. Okay, well, that wasn't so bad. You saw here how I cut that in the center. I'm just going to erase whatever pencil line I have, which I don't think I have right now. And I really like the way that this documents all of the temperature. And then you can see here, if I look at my temperature gauge that I'm using, so avocado and toffee, and then you had like some sage. So I think that's why we had that horrible storm, because it was cold at some point and then it just kind of exploded and it got really, really hot. And there was this big like pressure between hot and cold, and it just created chaos anyways all around the city, which was not fun, but definitely fun to document, I guess. So I'm going to add my photos here, and this one here I'm going to put one big mat to kind of go to cover both of these photos. I've left myself some spacing here for the journaling. I'm not going to hide the journaling on this one. And then my title is going to go right here. So this is going to be my flip flap, because I want to show that I started my sunflowers pretty much the first week of May. And this was near the end, and you can see that they're ready to be planted outside. So I'm going to go ahead and add a flip flap for here. And then definitely this is like the showcase of this layout. Isn't that gorgeous? And then I'm going to add my other photos right here of, unfortunately, all the fallen trees. And there's going to be a flip flap because there was so many of them. I only picked a few to document, And I'm just going to go ahead, add my photos, add my mats. I'm going to bring in the May months of the year, and I'm going to do some stamping and see what kind of embellishments I can add to this page. All right, so I've done pretty much the layout here, and I wanted to walk you through a few of the details that I've added to the page. So first and foremost, I did stamp my title here. I made a large mat. I really like this. So you've got a smaller frame around the photo, and then you've got the darkest frame. I tend to do a dark frame, and usually I do a white frame, but for this layout, I felt that the toffee on the light side was really, really good. And then because I didn't have, like, the month of May is short, and I was kind of struggling with this one. I wasn't sure how I was going to kind of show off my title. And then I looked through all of my months of the year stamp sets, and I came across August, and I really liked the Making Memories. So I did go ahead and I did stamp that. I added the month of May. For the month of May, I didn't have a lot of images that I could use this year, so of course I used the title, and then I did bring in that small flower. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work on a 12 by 12 layout. As you can see, when you cluster them across your pages, they look really nice. So basically, I colored those in using my Spectrum Noir markers, and I will link those down below for the colors that I did use. And I basically just tried to match what was going on my page. I know they're not sunflowers, and sunflowers are not in the month of May, but I just felt that it needed a little bit of embellishments. And then I pulled some of my embellishments from the Hope and Kindness work kit that I haven't played with yet. It was on my desk, and I thought, oh, this matches perfectly. So I added a few hearts here, and I'm kind of building up on my cluster. So you've got a few things going on. I did stamp this with both avocado and New England ivy. So you've got the double color going on right there. And I think that it looks really nice because it really highlights this photo. I am, as I said to you before, I will be adding these flip flaps, and I'll show you that at the end when I slide these into the page protectors. And then for the journaling here, I didn't want to hide my background because, you know, I did work on that a little bit at the beginning, so I wanted to show it off. So I am going to use these Avery labels. They're clear, they are archival, and I will link that down in the description box below. So when you peel these off, this backing, it actually goes on clear. So I'm going to start the assembly of like just kind of tacking everything down from my mats here to my embellishments. So let's do the assembly of these pages. So let's start with this one right here. I know that I need to leave myself some room for the journaling, so I'm going to fix this right here. I really like the combination of the two photos and the title, the big title. Really liked how that turned out. Even though the images were small, by framing them and stamping them together, you can really make that work out for your layout. So we're just going to pop this right here. I'm going to leave the same distance right here at the top. And I'm just going to show you how neat this clear label is. So basically you just pull the backing, and I'm going to pop this right onto my page. Oh, there's a little piece right here. Alrighty. Let's pop this right onto the page. And even if it's not completely straight, it doesn't really matter. Look at that. Isn't that neat? It actually looks like it's printed right on my 12 by 12 sheet. So I really like that. So I wanted to show you how that came down, and I'm just going to add my embellishment. I'm going to trim this off, and I will show you how this looks once it's in the page protectors. Okay, so let's go through the completed pages right here. I love, love, love the way that this shows up as if I've actually printed on the base page. I love the labels. Again, I will link those down below. I love the half circles that represent all of the days in the month of May. And really like the way I was able to use my stamps, even though they were a little bit small for a 12 by 12. I really love the way that they got grouped in together right here. And then this page here, love this flower. I was able to kind of showcase it a little bit more, and you've got the gorgeous colors again at the bottom of the page. So I'm going to sneak these right here into my page protectors. I do keep my months, I know that you can look them up on the internet. Let's add this page to the page protector, and I'm going to show you really quickly how to use those flip flaps to add more pictures. Pop that in, down in here. Just make sure that it's all the way down at the bottom of the page protector. Make sure that your holes are on the right side, because it's going to go like this inside my book. So make sure that you've got your holes on the right side. Make sure that your layout is all at the bottom, all the way down at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to start with the top flip flap, and I'm just going to remove the sticky backing. So you have to make sure that you're folding over, just like so. And then I'm going to just cover my picture. I'm just going to add that right in there. And you can take a bone folder if you want, and then you can just burnish that in so that it's not as apparent on your page. But to be honest with you, that really does not bother me. So I've got my first one here. So we're going to add the second right down here. So let me just lift this one up, and hopefully I will have given myself enough space. Yes, I did. Okay. Perfect. I'm just going to burnish that in. And you've got instantly more photos on your layout. So I really like the way that the month of May turned out, although it was quite the storm. And we are going to move on to the month of June. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will catch you next month. Don't forget to go check out Janice's layout with her Australian weather.